Welcome to Like a Bomb, a podcast about powerful women from the past and present.
Not fragile like a flower.
Fragile like a bomb. Hello, and welcome to episode 22 of Like a Bomb. I'm Bailey.
I'm Jill, her mom.
And yeah, this is Like a Bomb.
Happy Memorial Day.
Yes, that's right. It is Memorial Day of release. Wow. Yeah, oops. I forgot that that's a thing. That would in fact. But yes, exciting news. The exciting news is the sticker.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah! So it'll take some time, but I put in an order from a small business called Death by Sticker, or Death by Stickers, of our logo. Of the Like a Bomb podcast. Maybe I'll make an iteration later that has the quote fully on it, but we will have nice, beautiful vinyl stickers that are waterproof and things. We'll have quite a few of those, so set up a Patreon more properly soon, maybe. First X amount of you guys that sign up for it get a sticker, and then we'll do funny blurbs of funny stories for us for that Patreon benefits as well, besides a sticker, because a monthly fee for just a sticker, silly, but first people to sign up get a sticker, a special edition. Wow.
I wish we would have done this before I got my Like a Bomb tattoo, because the design you made is exactly what I envisioned, and the artist did not really do that. Plus, they did it in that old style that I don't like.
You don't like American traditional, do you, at
all?
all?
I do not, and that's what it is.
You got American traditional with me!
But it's because I didn't fill it in. It looks more
Yeah, it looks more line work. I like mine shaded in. It's not American traditional enough. I feel like I now have to post a picture of our tattoo on the Instagram. Maybe I'll do that. I need to actually work on the Instagram. I've been working more on my own private. Not even my private one, like my small business one with my zines and things.
Well, I know I've sent you a bunch of crap for.
Yeah.
There's no way to do two text streams to the same two people, because I was like, then if we had one that was just the two of us for that, those pictures would be only in that. I know what I'm thinking. It didn't make sense. Like, we have a group chat, just me and, well, not a group chat, because it's not a group chat, just me and you texting.
Yes.
Because it's you and I. We can't have another group, another text
yes.
just you and I. That would
you can just email them to our email, likeabombpodcast@gmail. So if you have also no pictures from anyone else, just my mom, because I don't want random things, because I'll be the one looking at it. But you can send suggestions of people you would like us to talk about or situations. Like there's, I can't even remember the acronym of it, but all the missing Indigenous women. I came across that again, and I've been wanting to talk about that.
Yes, May is their awareness month.
May's almost over.
Yep, I actually thought about that, and I knew that a couple weeks ago, and I had already, because Arbor Day was recently, and that's kind of what made me do what I'm doing, and I'm really upset that I didn't do it over Arbor Day, because I didn't know about this person, It
doesn't matter, because it'll bring highlight to it later for when people come to it, and they may not also listen to it during the holiday, or the month of.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah, we have international listeners from the United Kingdom and England, specifically is what it tells me, Italy, and Turkey. So we got 3 other countries besides the US. So shout out to you guys.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And joining our insanity someday. Do we have anybody in Virginia listening other than Jenny? Do we have just one person and it's Jenny? Because she says she tells people about it.
No, we have a few. I need to go back and look at the specific areas and the percentages. But we have quite a few from Virginia, and a lot of it I'm like, is this family?
I don't think the family's listening, because I feel like we would have had very unhappy conversations by now.
I don't know. We got those random drops and reviews, so maybe.
That's true. But that was only one.
There's 2. There's 2 reviews.
The big family evil.
Yeah. But yeah, no. There's places around Central Virginia that have been listening. So I don't know how much is family and how much is Jenny and friends. Because it just gives me locations. obviously it would not give me more information because that would be creepy and an overstep of privacy.
Yes. I don't need to know all that. I just was curious because I thought about it the other day and I was like, because Jenny is on her way, or well, she's in Charleston right now. She texted me. She was going through because she has to go. She takes 95, which I live off 95.
Mm-hmm.
And she was on her way, and she said, and I asked her to give me times, and she said a bunch of madness that was voice to text, so it messed up some things.
Yes.
But she said that she would wave to me as she went through today. So I don't know. She's supposed to be coming back Monday or Tuesday through because she's got to get home. She doesn't live in Charleston. And so I thought about it then. I was like, hey, I wonder, she said she tells people, or she's told people. Maybe she's only told two people. I don't know. And one of them could have been her mother, which I don't know that she would listen. If you are, hi. But I was just curious because she said she had told people about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like it because I don't know how much family listens, honestly, and I feel like some of them would be unhappy, especially if I'm still gonna send those zines. I just need to send those zines to my dad.
Well, I feel like we would have heard something back, but then again, I keep forgetting to send Morgan his graduation card and money.
Yeah,
I keep forgetting. It's just I don't know why.
I also forgot about
it's that you only get graduation announcements because they want your money.
And we didn't even send out graduation announcements for me, and I didn't even care about the money. I just wanted people to know that, listen, I graduated with an engineering degree that took a lot of work. My God.
Yep.
That stuff is hard. There's a reason there's not many aerospace engineers or engineers, and it's known as a hard degree.
It was funny. I was talking to one of my colleagues, friends, and we were talking about, like, I'm terrified to see the neurosurgeon. And she's like, well, they've always been considered, like, smartest people. I said, yeah, neurosurgeons and rocket scientists are considered the smartest people. And she looked at me and I was like, yep, and one of those is my child.
Hi. I do like rocket science.
That's been always considered like the saying is it's not rocket science because rocket science is considered like one of the hardest things ever. And yes. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I teach 8th graders math.
I don't actually do rocket science for a living at the moment, unfortunately. I'd love to. So shout outs for those minimal listeners. You got a work from home rocket science job for me with good benefits, because it's going to be hard to get me to leave my company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't really.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of art.
I'm doing a lot of going to work. But one of my students, she had asked me to the 8th grade dance, and I was like, yes, let's go. Because, I have to be there, and she's going. And she's like, well, we need to wear white and gold. And because we kind of have, like, things that we wear anybody who's been in 8th grade for a while, we do a red carpet theme. So we have T-shirts where we either have security or paparazzi, and of course.
Okay, so that explains the security shirt on Amazon.
Yes, that's. Well, I was just curious how much. No, I've already had it. I've had it for years. But
which is funny because I was looking yesterday trying to find the clasps I needed to make clothes, and I'm like, what the heck is this?
I was just curious because Rachel sent out a link for if anybody who's new to 8th grade wanted to purchase one to be like the rest of us cool kids. And I was just curious how much it costs, so that's why I went in. Yeah, buying one. I already had one, but I couldn't wear white and gold, so she's still a little upset with me.
You can wear like white and gold with like a bracelet or something or a necklace. I don't know.
Well, it's already done. We already had the dance.
Oh well.
But she's like, okay, well, we need to do something for graduation, and I was like, okay, well, what are we wearing? She's like, pink, and I'm like, what? I mean, I have pink high tops. I don't wear pink. And Rachel was standing there. She's like, that's weird. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But I spent yesterday going to thrift stores and other stores and stuff, and I found a pair of fuchsia pants because none of the pink dresses I found looked right on me. So I have fuchsia pants. Now I just need to find a nicer top than the ones I have that go with it because I figured I could get a black one and then I could wear like one of my many Mary Janes that I have. Probably my platform docs, but I thought that would look cute. So I just need a cute black shirt, but I I'm going into the big city tomorrow to have breakfast with a friend, and then I'm meeting your sister at some point to give her stuff. So I make sure I get her tiara for her birthday.
Yeah.
And yes, my daughter is going to have a tiara for her birthday because
You
she's
gave me a
having.
little one for my 21st. A little plastic one that was like only like 3 inches wide at
Yeah.
most. Because I'm not girly. Hello, you take a look at me on YouTube, but
Yeah.
I got short hair. I don't like dresses.
Oh, but this one's really nice. It's actual real silver because it's at a thrift store, and she's having a like elegant, fancy theme for her birthday. So I figured it would be perfect for her to
And
be
then here I
fancy
am
with a
gonna give
tiara.
her a punk-based card.
Well, hopefully,
She's gonna love it though, because she sent me the same thing for my birthday.
Yeah, no, she'll love it. She is not she's not that kind of girly girl.
No, she's not. Which is so funny seeing her be like that now.
Yeah, she's
yeah. Of which, we had the birthday party for a friend where so for entertainment purposes for everyone, you're gonna enjoy this. So I got together with my friend who is the boyfriend of the friend whose birthday we celebrated. We went to his house, and the birthday girl's family, like parents and siblings, all came to my friend's house, and we blew up over 600 balloons with a shop vac and air compressor, so we did not pass out. So we could have a giant balloon pit. So the whole living room was a balloon pit. It was wonderful.
It was crazy looking.
I know, and no, I'm not posting a picture of it because it is a friend's house.
Yes.
That doesn't need to be on the social medias for everyone publicly to see. Just imagine it. Imagine your living room full of 600 plus balloons. It's like a giant ball pit.
Yep. Multicolored balloons everywhere.
Yes. Everywhere. It was fun, and there was just latex powder everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That part wasn't fun.
I can just smell it now.
Yeah.
Oh, yuck.
It was very much reminiscent on a kid's birthday. That's why we did all the balloons. It was fun.
I think birthdays should be silly. I gave my ICR teacher, his birthday was last week, I gave him little finger, oh God, what are they called now? I can't remember. The little...
The Rock'em Sock'em?
Guys. Yes, Rock'em Sock'ems, little finger Rock'em Sock'ems. I gave him a little magic 8-ball, which he actually brought to class, and it was fun because he used it in class.
I want a magic 8-ball, not just for its purpose of a magic 8-ball, because that would be fun, but also for D&D purposes. But I also kind of just want to take the D20 out of it to roll.
Don't buy one.
I'm not gonna buy one.
Okay. Wait till Christmas.
I see. Well, I'm ready. I get what I want. I already have more the Dungeon Master dice. I'm ready. So yeah, I'm gonna do a one-shot with some newbies from work and other friends. So
yeah, I saw all the messages yesterday, and I was like,
right, yes, you are in that server. I went and told one of my coworkers, I'm just like, you're not gonna do anything that's gonna be offensive, because I mean, some of my friends are more like offensive of things you wouldn't necessarily say around a friend's mom.
Yeah.
But it's also you. So I'm like, just a heads up that my mom is here, but like it literally doesn't change anything you're gonna do.
No, I don't. Unless you're, bashing you or Piper or me in any way. Which usually I'm good.
And if you see any of that for some reason in the Discord, it is purely making fun of my character or something of the like. Which confused one of my coworkers was just like, this person seems in charge, but their name is Barry Milo. Who is that? I'm like, that's my D&D character. I did name it after Barry.
I can see that.
Yeah, I'm like, I need a different last name, so I'm like, what am I gonna do? Okay, Milo works. So I'm like, I want to make a dude for this character, for this campaign, so I chose Barry.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm ready for my story now. Yes, this is my tangents. I'm awake. I slept poorly last night. My neck was in a lot of pain.
I've learned that because, one, sinuses and my deviate septum, whatever, because of the brain thing, which I'm not sure I've explained, so let me explain real quick. My brain is actually coming out of my skull. It is a pretty common malformation. 1 in every 1,000 people have it, but it just means that my skull and my spine and my brain are compressing each other, and for some strange reason, it didn't really become... It explains some things from my past, but it didn't really become very painful until February. And since then, I've had a headache, and it's a headache that makes me accidentally cry involuntarily.
Because you're in intense pain, and that's how your body relieves the emotions,
Yep.
crying. That's why
Or-
intense emotions, like happiness, people cry.
Yep. Or throw up, because when your body
Yeah.
goes into shock over too much pain, you vomit.
I've done that.
So, no.
Gotta love vomiting from periods.
Yeah, well, I vomit just because all my other pains too, but this one's bad. So I know I've mentioned it and said sorry, explaining some of my facial expressions, which you're going to see me do, possibly some Lamaze breathing as well, but it helps with pain.
Oh, at least you're not in
Calms your
labor.
center. Yep,
But you're
I am
breathing
not
like
in
you are.
labor. Yeah, so just so you know, that's what we mean when I keep saying my brain.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be a fun time. I will be back home when that happens.
I won't. I have to get to the nurse.
Anyways,
Fine, tell
we'll
me your
get there when
story.
we get there.
Yeah.
Now for my screen, because I needed this lighting to be much brighter on my face for my story. So we already talked about Marsha P. Johnson as, I believe, episode 2, who is my person I talked about. Another very prominent woman during the Stonewall riots was Sylvia Rivera. So that's who I'll be talking about today. So I recently read a queer history book, about how, it obviously all didn't start with Stonewall, but it became such a prominent turning point. Not just, there were other riots that occurred, but a lot of people used Stonewall as a turning point. It became the myth that it all started with Stonewall. And a lot of it did to some essence, but people ran with it and the queer community embraced it. And so Sylvia Rivera was a veteran of the 1969 Stonewall Uprising. She was a tireless advocate for those silenced and disregarded by larger movements. Throughout her life, she fought against the exclusion of transgender people, especially transgender people of color, from the larger movement for gay rights. She was born in New York City in 1951 to a father from Puerto Rico and a mother from Venezuela. She was assigned male at birth. Rivera had an incredibly difficult childhood, as her father was absent and her mother died by suicide when she was only 3 years old. And so, raised by her grandmother, Rivera began experimenting with clothing and makeup at a young age. She was beaten for doing so, and after being attacked on a school playground in 6th grade by another student, suspended from school for a week, she then ran away from home at age 11. And with this became a victim of sexual exploitation around 2nd Street, thus still in New York. Come 1963, Sylvia met Marsha P. Johnson, and it changed her life. Johnson, an African-American self-identified drag queen and activist, was also battling exclusion in a movement for gay rights that did not embrace her gender expression. Rivera said of Johnson that she was like a mother to me. The two were actively involved in the Stonewall Inn uprising on June 28, 1969, where patrons of the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in Greenwich Village in lower Manhattan, rebuffed a police raid and set a new tone for the gay rights movement. Rivera said in an interview in 2001 that while she did not throw the first Molotov cocktail at the police, a long-enduring myth, she did throw the second. For 6 nights, the 17-year-old Rivera refused to go home or to sleep, saying, "I'm not missing a minute of this. It's the revolution." And some key things to know: police raids to gay bars were very, very common at this time, and in fact are happening again. Still, recently in Provincetown, Massachusetts, there was one, and Provincetown is known as like the gayest city in the U.S.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Important to know your history, especially if you're queer. So, back to Sylvia Rivera. She resisted arrest and subsequently led a series of protests against the raid, yet this was not the first time she was directly involved in activism. She said in a 1989 interview that the Stonewall Inn uprising was also a turning point in the visibility of the gay rights movement. The first Pride Parade started in 1970. But Rivera and other transgender people were discriminated against and discouraged from participating. There was lots of transphobia back then, and still now, getting worse. In fact, in 1973, Rivera participated in the Gay Pride Parade but was not allowed to speak, despite the amount of work and advocacy she had done. Sylvia Rivera did a lot for the queer groups, the queer movements, to be allowed and properly accepted into society and all the goals that they wanted. To the point she grabbed the microphone anyway, telling the spectators and other marchers, if it wasn't for the drag queen, there'd be no gay liberation movement. We're the frontliners. And she was booed off the stage. Throughout the 1970s, she frequently tangled with gay rights leaders who were hesitant to include transgender people in their advocacy work. The Gay Activist Alliance, GAA, which formed in response to Stonewall, frequently rejected the role transgender people, the majority of whom were people of color, had played in the uprising. Rivera also fought against the exclusion of transgender people in the Sexual Orientation Non-Discrimination Act in New York. The final bill passed in 2002 and prevents discrimination on the basis of actual or perceived sexual orientation in employment, housing, public accommodations, education, credit, and exercise of civil rights. Along with Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera started the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, aka STAR, that we talked about with Marsha P. Johnson, that they started in 1971. The group became a space to organize and discuss issues facing the transgender community in New York City, and they also had a building, the Star House, that provided lodgings for those who needed it, as many trans kids, especially mostly younger adults, got kicked out of their house. So here, have a house to stay, be here safe. And Rivera explained in 1998 that she and Johnson decided it was time to help each other and help our other kids. We fed people and clothed people. We kept the building going. We went out and hustled the streets. We paid the rent. Although only 19, Rivera became a mother to many of the residents of Star House. While short-lived, Star House was an important space for those who needed it. The troubles she experienced as a child followed her into adulthood. Rivera frequently experienced homelessness and had problems with substance abuse, and at one point, she attempted suicide. Her friend Johnson brought her to the hospital and helped her get healthy again. After this experience, Rivera left New York City and activism behind for a bit. She returned to the city in 1992 after the death of Marsha P. Johnson. Once back in the city, she got involved again with the fight for the inclusion and recognition of transgender individuals. She started Transy House, modeled off of Star House, in 1997 in Park Slope, Brooklyn. She also reconciled with the gay rights movement and was now expanding to embrace the LGBTQ+ community. She was given a place to honor the 25th anniversary Stonewall in March in 1994. Rivera said in a 1995 interview with the New York Times of participating in this parade, "The movement had put me on the shelf, but they took me down and dusted me off. Still, it was beautiful. I walked down 58th Street and the young ones were calling from the sidewalk, 'Sylvia, Sylvia, thank you, we know what you did.'" In 2001, she was marching in New York City pride parades, and living in Transy House. Unfortunately, Sylvia Rivera died of liver cancer in St. Vincent's Manhattan Hospital in 2002 at the age of 50. Her partner, Julia Murray, was with her at her time of death. The Sylvia Rivera Law Project continues her legacy, working to guarantee all people are free to self-determine their gender identity and expression, regardless of income or race, and without facing harassment, discrimination, or violence. The intersection of Christopher and Hudson Streets in Greenwich Village, 2 blocks from Stonewall Inn, was renamed Sylvia Rivera Way. In 2015, a portrait of Rivera was added to the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C., making her the first transgender activist to be included in the gallery. In 2021, New York City will unveil a monument to Rivera and Johnson. It will be the city's, and according to New York City, the world's first monument dedicated to transgender individuals. And as this was published in March 2021, I didn't actually look further to look at the monument, but I'm sure that is very interesting to see.
I'm sure. And it's very interesting to see its future in today's world.
Yes, it is possible in today's world, but it's also New York City. I highly
It's
doubt
New York,
anything will happen
yeah.
to it.
New York would revolt, but
New York
that is
would
good.
revolt.
Yeah.
And plus, it's about to be Pride Month, so there may be
Yeah,
more
it is.
attention to it than it should be.
Yeah, it is MSN because it's May now. It's still May, even though I don't know if I want May to fast forward because then it's June and then we're in testing and I don't know. But
Yeah, well,
cool.
June is a lot going on for me, just the beginning of the month. I think I don't have anything in the second half of the month.
I don't know what's going on. I can't believe it's summer almost. Yeah. Cool. Didn't know. I knew about Johnson. I didn't know about her.
Yes, because I don't know, I think because Marsha P. Johnson was a lot more peaceful, she wasn't as pushy in making a scene, as one might say, for Sylvia Rivera, because they did not like her. They did not like her. So that's probably why Marsha P. Johnson was the face of a lot of it, because she was deemed nicer. Because they're also not just transphobic, but they're all sorts of other things. Even because people are people.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just you have a sense of comfort with somebody that even if they're saying the same thing the same way, people just gravitate to certain people. But
yeah. But so yes, that is the, I guess, other half. I know there's a lot more. There's always so much more to his stories, but those, again, the other prominent figure of Stonewall was Sylvia Rivera, not just Marsha P. Johnson, that a lot of us know as the face of Stonewall.
Stonewall's just when I think a lot of issues came into the public consciousness throughout the country, whereas people
they couldn't hide it. That one was so public.
They were able to hide from it and deny it until then. And I think that's kind of why it's considered such a big deal. It was far reaching, whereas a lot of things only were incidents that were isolated.
Yeah, and then there's other levels of just like, this is just a San Francisco thing, because a lot of the history that I read, I'll have to find the book title of my rec, I guess, for the day. It was San Francisco and like New York, and of course there was other cities, but like those were the two most prominent history that was represented in this book that I read. So
like people in the Midwest, they were like, this doesn't happen here, so we don't have to pay attention.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a big city thing.
Yeah.
Let's see, I can find the book. Yes. We Are Here Everywhere, Protest, Power, and Pride in the History of Queer Liberation by Matthew Reimer? It's a couple that wrote it. It's two guys, but it only lists one of their names, but it's We're Everywhere. And it has Marsha P. Johnson on the cover. And it goes over queer history here in the U.S.
Interesting. I have literally only read books about the Holocaust survivors I've read like 6 books about that in the last couple weeks.
Okay, would you like to read some different books? I got my Barnes & Noble. I can share you the ebooks.
I don't ever bring out my Kindle anymore.
I do it on my phone.
I can't see that. Oh. No. I actually do have quite a few. I've gotten some from thrift stores too. And I got 4 books yesterday from thrift stores. 2 of them are probably depressing, but they weren't about the Holocaust.
Okay, I was gonna say, you've been reading exclusively the Holocaust, apparently.
Yeah, mainly, yeah. But, yeah, I have some books. I have some books.
Fun!
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah!
Okay, well, I wish I would have found this before Arbor Day, because Arbor Day is like the bestest holiday. There's tree planting. There used to be a lot more tree planting. I remember in elementary school, like, kids would be given trees to plant. And
I don't remember doing any of this ever in school.
I grew up in a very different time.
Clearly.
Different time. If you ask some of my students when I was in school, there was dinosaurs and clay tablets, and fire had not been invented. It's funny because like I can ask. Sarah was in my room, I don't know, a couple weeks ago now, and I don't know why we were talking about me being old, and I looked and I said, "Hey guys, what was happening around the world when I was born?" And they all like said something about like proof that I'm old. And then I was in Rachel's room for some reason, and I was like, said the same thing, and half these kids don't even teach. And they all said, basically, I was alive when President Lincoln was in office. But they always say things that don't make sense because none of those things were happening at the same time. But apparently, I'm very old. But Arbor Day is a really cool holiday because it helps with conservation of forest, trees. And I will say that coming from Virginia to North Carolina, it was really cool to see where we lived that they made a point to protect the trees when they were making buildings. And so that there's still so many trees. And one, it makes it pretty, but it's also very good for the environment.
Except they pretty exclusively have male trees, which you see clouds of
Yeah.
pollen rolling down the street.
Yeah, well, that's here too. I mean, I will say that's
That's
terrifying.
not here. That's not where I am. That's where
It's
you
where
are.
I'm,
And
well,
that's a
okay.
problem with the fact that
Yes.
capitalism didn't want people to have free fruit.
Well, it's here too, but it's different here. They don't have the tree conservations like they do. I think
Yeah.
they're starting to here. This looks more like where we are from Virginia,
Yeah.
I will say.
The fun fact of my tangent is that's why most people have so many pollen issues. Well, because there's so much of it, because they pretty exclusively plant male
Yes.
trees so that you don't get free fruit because they don't want free things for you.
Yes, they used to have fruit trees along sidewalks.
Uh-huh.
And then they realized they were giving away. Yes.
Free food.
Very true. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, well, I did a lovely lady, Wangari Maathai. She is a political and environmental activist from Kenya, Africa. So she was born April 1st, 1940, which I would love to have that my birthday because April Fools.
I know some people who do have that birthday. They don't
They
like
do
it.
not. I'm a month before. She was born in the village of Ithith in Kenya during British colonial rule, which, if you go look up, it is a very different time for both of those things. And in one of the articles I read, said she lived in a mud walled house with no electricity or no running water. However, she did move. So I don't think this is something that we need to focus on, but her father was polyamorous and a tenant farmer. So, like, her mother who had multiple children. And then he had, another wife and another wife who had kids. And so he would like travel and go work in other places, other villages, being the tenant farmer that he was. Because if you didn't know what that means, it means you're renting land and most of that product goes to the person you rent from, and then you get to get some out of it. So I think that made like she did move here and there, so I'm not sure what this is pertaining to, like where she lived. But both of her parents were farmers, and as a child, she was permitted, which is the word that was used, a small piece of land to grow her own food and learn how to develop land. Not sure what permitted means, or maybe it was just like, hey, you can play in this section.
Maybe.
I'm not sure 100% what that is, but so her education. So she was born in 1940. So by age 8, it's 1948. Like I mean, in 1940, we were still in World War II. Like, this is a very different time in the world. So at age 8, she started the local primary school, which was very uncommon for girls to attend school at the time. And then from there, she went to Loretto's Girls High School. In 1960, she won a scholarship and went to Mount St. Scholastic College in Kansas, which you got a scholarship to go to America to go to school, which is very, very different. I'm sure it was culture shock.
It's expensive to fly.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a very different time, 1960s in
Yeah.
America, and she
went to
did.
Kansas. She went to the Midwest.
Yes. Can't get much wider than that, I guess. And she graduated from there in 1964 with a BS in biology, which is a bachelor's in science, in case you didn't know. I love to say that I have a BS, but I don't. I have a BA.
I have a BS.
Yeah, I have a BA because I'm in education.
But you basically do. You got a mathematics degree and everything
Yes, but
else.
it's considered a BA because it's education.
Because you focus in education.
That's
But you
the
did
art.
literally get a mathematics degree.
Yes, but however, it's weird that education is the arts. Anyhow, moving on. 1966, she went to the University of Pittsburgh and got her master's degree in biological sciences. And so, again, going back to the fact that she is in college in the 1960s, she was very heavily inspired by the U.S. civil rights and anti-Vietnam War movement, because let's think, the 60s were activism, 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 and it was protest, protest, protest. Hey, we're fighting for our rights. It was a lot, and to come from a small area in Kenya to come to that, especially starting in the Midwest, and then going to the northern part of the U.S., northern eastern part of the U.S., is a very, very different situation, especially for that time. And then she went, so in 1971, she was the first Eastern African American woman to earn a doctoral degree in veterinary anatomy at the University of Nairobi. It also says that at some point she studied in Germany, and I cannot find where and when she did that, but in one article it did say she was in Germany. But she didn't end up there. She ended up finishing her doctoral degree at the University of Nairobi. Between 1976 and 1977, she was the first woman in the region to become a department chair of veterinary anatomy and an associate professor at the University of Nairobi. So this is just her background. This is not all the other accomplishments. But the thing is, that is an accomplishment for a woman to have done at that time, especially a woman from Kenya, Africa. I don't
Coming to
know.
the US and how
Yes.
discriminatory they were.
Yes, and to be able to get through it and adjust and assimilate is a huge accomplishment. So from now we're going to go into like her career and then more, which is her activism, her political okay, my brain just went bleh. 1976 to 1987, she was an active member and a chairman from 1981 to 1987, the National Council of Women of Kenya. And this is where she introduced the idea of village women earning a living wage by planting trees in the area hit by deforestation and poverty. So let's go back to the fact that it says that she was born living in a mud walled hut with no electricity and no running water. We don't understand that poverty in America. Yes, we have homelessness and we have unhoused people and we have a lot of poverty. And in case you are so privileged you don't understand that the average American is 2 to 3 paychecks away from being unhoused. Just want to throw that out. I feel like I've said it before, but telling somebody to change their life is not as easy as it sounds. You know, that is in 2025. That's not talking about the like 60s, 70s, 80s. And so deforestation is the removal of trees from a large area of forest. And if I know, I remember being so upset when I found out that Burger King was a part of the problem in some places because they could get their beef cheaper from the rainforest because they needed the money more, so they didn't charge as much, supply demand. But they would cut down trees because deforestation disrupts ecosystems. It reduces biodiversity. It contributes to climate change by releasing carbon dioxide, soil erosion, loss of habitats. That soil erosion part means that the grass that the cattle need to graze on doesn't last very long, so then they have to cut more trees down and they need more grass. It's a domino effect. So they were losing more and more forests, but capitalism and resources was a huge component to all of that. And not even saying anything against capitalism, I'm just saying that it really was a huge pushing. Soil erosion is the removal of topsoil layer, which is loss of fertile topsoil, reduces crop yield, and it can cause water pollution. Like I just said, we have to cut more down to do this if we don't. And then there is desertification, where fertile land in dry regions becomes degraded in desert-like conditions. So you can't grow things, so no vegetation, your soil erosion is there, water shortages because now we have desert-like conditions, decreasing food production, which how are we feeding the people who already don't have anything, and increased temperature. It's already hot there. So all of this is happening because of cutting down trees. And the trees are being cut down for, many, many different reasons, depending on the time frame we were talking about in history, depending on why they were cutting trees down. Mm-hmm. So she came up with this great idea that just said, hey, women need money. We need trees. Why don't we pay the women to plant trees? So she started what was called the Green Belt Movement in 1977, still active. You can Google it. There's a whole website. And their goal was to reduce poverty and environmental conservation. So 30,000 women planted more than 30 million trees.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
The goal was less than that. And the goal was to plant a tree for every person in Kenya, but they ended up planting 30 million trees, which is a lot. But when we think about like
how many of those trees survive though?
I don't know, but this is the statistics that I have. And I would say they pretty much, after they got started, then there would be more fertile land. And I think that the beginning was probably harder than the middle and the end.
Probably.
Yep. She was out, just jumped something. It gave women a living income, new skills, and opportunities that they never would have had in any other situation. Leaders established the 1986, the leaders of the Green Belt movement, that being in 1980, the Pan African Green Belt Network educated the world leaders in conservation and environmental improvement. Similar initiatives were built in Tanzania, Ethiopia, and Zimbabwe. So not only is she focusing all of this in Kenya, but other organizations are being built in other parts of Africa to help women that are in impoverished states and build trees.
Yeah.
And yeah, so her activism and more. She was an advocate for environment, human rights, AIDS prevention, and women's issues. I know that if you look her up, there is a little bit of controversy of something that she said at one point regarding AIDS and its creation in a laboratory to kill people. I'm just gonna say, and then she said she apologized for that. So I'm just right over that. She was very outspoken against the government's development and use of the country's lands and simply misgovernance of the country. This was at point there was a person in control of the country was, I think his name is Moy, and he was very much against all things taken care of. She was arrested and beaten during many protests, but again, let's keep in mind the time frame. This was considered acceptable, not that it ever was, but there's a lot of things that they were more considered tolerated. Thinking back at, when I was in school, corporal punishment was okay in public schools, and they're bringing it back now.
They're bringing it back?
They are.
Oh
They
my
are.
God.
It's actually considered something. Well, there's still schools in North Carolina that actually.
But those aren't public schools.
No, they are public schools. There's public schools where it's still acceptable. Yes.
It is not good psychologically.
I would say
there's plenty of studies.
In Virginia too. I'm sure there's, yes, I know. I grew up in schools like that. My students actually asked me last week, they said, so if it goes, say this school went back to that, would you hit us? And I said, no, that's just not who I am. Like, I didn't even hit my own kids the same.
You didn't hit us, but we did have spankings.
You got the bare minimum
I know.
of spankings.
I just remember getting prominent, handprints on my butt from our dad. He was the problem, and I'm glad I did not grow up with him more because I would have been beaten.
Yes. Yeah, it was a whole different thing.
Yeah.
My parents hit us. It's just, that was what you did. We were talking to the kids and we're like, yeah, it used to be a thing where you would be told to get your own stick to hit you. I think we had land to do that once. But
my dad had to do that all the time, apparently.
We had a lot of other things, too.
Well, there's a lot of other things, yes. But still, yeah. He apparently had to do that a lot.
Yeah, so, well, he was, yeah, there's that. But, so, unfortunately, I'm not saying what happened to her was right, but unfortunately, saying that at the time didn't get the proper social effect, and that today, if we find out that happens, there's an uproar and it's not okay, and we will step in and we will fix what we need to fix if we can. So that's sad that happened, and that's my own point there, is that it's not okay. It's never been okay. There's never a part in history where it was okay. It just, at the time, society and cultural was normal. Yeah. And so it didn't help her cause. It actually kind of would hurt it. Mm-hmm. However, she kept going to those places. In 1989, her most famous protest over the building of a skyscraper in Nairobi's park received international attention because she was arrested, she was beat, and she's and that is a difference from her early activisms where that happened, because society was slowly changing and it was becoming, hey, this is not acceptable. And so because of all of that, the skyscraper project was stopped. So that's the thing.
Progress.
Yes, progress. We can see progress just through this one person in societal changes, because this is still happening in Africa. And nothing against Africa, but they are a different society, such different culture than us. And so there's certain things that are acceptable there that would not necessarily be acceptable here, and vice versa.
Same with us in Europe and every
Yep.
other continent.
Yeah,
Different
exactly.
history, different people groups.
Exactly. Like, everybody has their own way of seeing things. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just different. So, in this location of that protest became known as Freedom's Corner. She protests to release political prisoners. She protests just to help the world. Women's issues, AIDS, like I said, environment was like her key thing is environment. But it also was the poverty of like her fellow citizens. You know, she saw that here's a solution that we can come up with that would also help our environment. It's important. So in 2002, she was elected to Kenya's National Assembly with 98% of the vote.
Wow.
I know, right?
Impressive. That doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. 2003, she was appointed as Assistant Minister of Environment, Natural Resources, and Wildlife, and she served that from 2003 to 2007. 2004, she won the Nobel Peace Prize, and according to the Nobel Peace Prize website, her contributions to sustainable development and democracy and peace. And she actually said in part of her speech, like, I hope that we're realizing that the environment and people are what we need to put first. And we also need to try and do it within our own country and not rely on outside aid because we are capable. And she was the first Black African woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize. In 2005, she was appointed to Goodwill Ambassador to the Congo Basin Forest Ecosystem. 2006, she founded the Noble Women's Initiative with fellow laureates, which that just means the people that also won the prize with her. 2007, she was the co-chair of Congo Basin Fund. It was a British and Norwegian government helped protest Congo forest. Not protest. Protect the Congo forest. Not protesting the forest, but trying to protect it. In 2009, she was the UN Messenger of Peace, focused on climate change and environment. 2010, there was a Millennium Development Goals advocacy group and partnered with the University of Nairobi, founding the Wangari Maathai Institute of Peace Environmental Studies, bringing together academic research for land use, forestry, agricultural, source-based conflicts, and peace studies. And she passed away in 2011, September 25th of 2011, after years of battling ovarian cancer. She did a lot, and she kept working. Like, in 2010, she's doing this advocacy program and educational thing with the University of Nairobi. She passed away the following year. Like, she's still active until the moment she died because this meant something. And she didn't like become famous and move to like an easier place. She stayed where she grew up and to keep pushing for things to happen there. There are some books. There's the Greenbelt Movement, Sharing the Approach and Experience. It was written and published in 1988, and there's a revised edition in 2003. She has an autobiography called Unbowed, and it's 2007. And The Challenge for Africa in 2009, it was again, Africa's government is ineffectual. And said to stop using Western help for, all of their needs, water, food, building schools and churches, that if the government was more effective, then we could do it ourselves. And I mean, I don't know. That was 2009, so I don't know if like the government's got themselves together yet because I don't live there, and
I don't know.
So I don't know, but our government's not necessarily together, and that doesn't mean change.
Our government's even more of a hot mess.
Yeah. So, and things
at least at the moment, it is a hot mess.
keep in mind, if you plant cutting down trees, what you are doing to the habitat of the animals that live in that tree, it changes the environment, meaning it changes the ecosystem, meaning it changes the oxygen and carbon dioxide percentages, which we need oxygen to live. They need carbon dioxide, which we expel when we breathe out. So also carbon dioxide is a pollutant and can kill us. So we want the oxygen, not the carbon dioxide that we're blowing out of our mouths when we exhale. So we need the trees and the plants. Don't cut them down. There's trees in my yard I don't really like where they're at. I want to plant more trees. I want a magnolia tree. I have a willow tree that Granny bought me because I wanted a weeping willow so bad. And she bought one that still hasn't been put in the ground because we don't ever have time.
Just be careful because those things seek out water.
Oh no, there's one we're gonna put. Yep, and we know where we're gonna put it. Because we get that flooding in our backyard. So we get the flooding, and so we already have that plan. That's why, because I was like, I was telling her when I was like looking up plants that needed water, and it was like a weeping willow, and I was like, oh, and I've always wanted a weeping willow on my property, and dogwoods, and a magnolia tree, because well, I grew up in the South, and I need my magnolia trees.
I mean, wasn't it the Jenny that we were neighbors with when they moved to that house that had a giant weeping willow in the front yard?
Yes, they did. Yes.
I always loved playing in that tree because it's just like you have like your own little fort.
Yeah, I'm hoping this one will. They do become diseased quickly and they're very fragile. So I'm hoping that we will have good luck with it. And I want to put magnolia trees in the front. We have a huge front yard considered the size of our backyard. I'd like to put them in the front, closer to the road, but not too close, so the roots are going to mess up the road, but so that we can have, one, magnolia trees, and two, have some privacy from the world. And I want dogwoods that are going to go across the side.
Yeah, you know, the dogwood flowers that we both have tattooed.
Yes, they're beautiful, and they're the flower of both states.
So. Which is why I have the dogwood tattooed on me.
Yep, and that's why I have mine too. I had some students asking me, like, they say you should only get tattoos that have deep personal meaning, like, and they're like, well, what do yours mean? And I was like, well,
I like this.
Yes.
That's what it means.
Like, it can be that you just like things. And they're like, so I think that day I was wearing something where you could see, like, pretty much my whole arms. And they were like, well, what is this? What's this? What's this? What's this? And I'm like, oh my God. And then when I said, well, this is the one I have that's Gilmore Girls with my other daughter. And of course, it's the two girls that think it's boring. And they're like, that's such a boring. I don't want to hear it.
I mean,
yeah.
I got a little jankiness with my right forearm, but I got Mulan's sword. They like Mulan. That could, you know, I could do more work with it. The dragon's a little janky in spot, but like, I got things because they were cool. And like, I thought this ginkgo leaf was pretty and cool, so I got it.
It's just something that it's your body.
Yep.
It's your body. But yeah, like deep personal meaning. I don't know
after you get a couple, then it really doesn't matter.
I don't know that they all have deep personal meaning. I just
no,
because like the Venus rose, they were like, well, what's that? And I was like, it's the orbit. It's what happens when Venus and Earth orbit for 7 years. It's the design that comes up. Why would you want that? Because it's really cool because it's Venus, meaning it's love, and it makes a rose, and it's pretty, and there's rockets around it because
and it's geometric.
Engineer. Like also it's a rockets around it because I'm an aerospace engineer daughter. Like what? Just leave me alone. Stop talking to me.
I mean, and I have my recent flash tattoo is this funky little cat with a knife that I showed off that I just like thought it's cool.
Yeah, they are things that I have, and I have.
And some things have the meanings, like the one with you, or back
well, this one's from Piper. Like this one I have with your sister, and everybody's like, "What is it?" I was like, "It's cat fairies." Like,
I have matching tattoo with you. I have the cats. I have the ones that resemble my lava space. We have the Trinity symbol for Yumi and Pip.
Yeah. Yep, they all have. I mean, I can explain each one of them because I have them, but
I can give meaning to all of them.
Yeah.
If I really wanted.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's your body. It's your art. I just don't want a lampshade made out of my skin.
No. You know, I have a tattoo. My body, my rules.
Yeah.
But it has a different meaning than just do whatever I want to my own body. It's more back off my body.
Yeah. I just have the spirit of lampshades.
Okay, noted. Noted, we will not be doing the you can preserve your loved one's tattoos after death weird
No,
things.
that's disturbing in so many ways.
Yeah,
Nope, I want to be a bottle of ashes.
agreed.
Yep, nothing else. Well, with that happy note,
Yeah.
go do something extraordinary.